Yeah, no, I really appreciate everybody joining on today. And Steve, thanks for putting this together. This is a really kind of a rebirth for me. I've had such a long career in the Frontier League, and being able to join in with an organization like Ottawa that has never been in the Frontier League, but certainly has a rich tradition in baseball, is really exciting for me, for my family. We've really had a weird off season and a long off season. It's a lot of time away from the game that most of us have spent every day playing. So to get back to it, it's still October and we have a significant amount of time left before we get started here in May. But the time will go fast, and hopefully this whole COVID situation can get out of here so that we can get back to a more normal life and doing what we love to do. So I'm excited for the opportunity. The ownership group has been great to work with so far. And I'm just excited to see what happens at the stadium, what happens with the team, and try to bring what I've done at River City to Ottawa for certainly this season and hopefully in the future.
All right, thanks, Steve. We can turn it over to questions. If you can just go ahead and please introduce yourself first and the organization you're with, and just fire away.
Hi, Steve. My name is Sylvain Saint-Laurent. I work for Le Droit, the French newspaper in Ottawa. You've been with the same organization for so long, which is quite rare in sports today, but talking about a rebirth, what exactly happened in the last couple of months that made you leave that organization and decide to join Ottawa?
Yeah, there was really no reason to leave. I mean, I was brought to the St. Louis area for baseball. I was a player from 2004 through the 2007 season for River City in the Frontier League. I got that opportunity. I had a nice career as a player, and they invited me to stick around at that point to be a pitching coach. I did that for 2 seasons. And then I managed from 2010 to 19. Our organization has been through, and I say ours, it's not mine anymore, but the organization, the River City Rascals, have been through a lot of struggles locally to stay afloat financially. The ownership team really tried, but they got to a point where they got underwater pretty quickly and never really found their way back in. And we got tremendous support locally, but I don't really want to say mismanagement, but certainly decisions could have been made that would have helped us financially a little bit better. In independent baseball, winning is not necessarily the thing that draws dollars. And I think that even though we were successful for all those years and had teams in the playoffs and had teams, fighting for championships every year, that really stuck with about, probably 10, 20% of our fans. The rest of our fans were just people who were coming out trying to get a good bite to eat or enjoy a family night away. And, if you don't have the proper management and the proper stadium and the proper setup, you're going to lose money. And so the organization finally folded. We folded in a championship season, which I don't know if that's ever happened in the history of professional baseball before, but we won the championship in our last game as a franchise. And so then the question for me became, now what next? And, I certainly entertained a few offers. There were a few different clubs that offered me managerial jobs for the 2020 season. There were a few things that did not work out for me personally, just situationally. I didn't feel comfortable taking either of those positions that were offered to me. I ended up taking the pitching coach position last year with Gateway in the Frontier League, just across the river, because it is local for me. It's about a 50-minute drive. It's a tough drive to get through the city, but nonetheless, it's relatively local. And I would have done that in 2020 and worked with Phil and the men over there, but the COVID happened, and so here we are. I got a call a few weeks ago to see if I was still interested in the Ottawa opening, and of course I was. And I started speaking to Sam and got hired about a week ago. So I'm pretty excited to be here and get going.
You were talking about taking a job 50 minutes away from your previous job. Now this is quite a ways away in a different country, different situation. I mean, that's it can either be exciting or completely scary. Like, which way do you choose to look at it?
I'm excited. You know, I think I've spent probably one day in Canada in my entire life. So the chance to go a little bit on the East Coast and see a different country and see a little bit of a different culture, and just the opportunity to see professional baseball in Canada is exciting to me, especially when you have a story like this where I know the Ottawa champions were around for a few years. They didn't have a lot of success. I don't know if they were supported locally or if they weren't. You know, I don't have those numbers in front of me. I don't really think it matters. What I want to do is come in there and bring the mindset that I've brought to River City, of having confident players who are going to go about their business the right way, and hungry guys who play the game hard and do that, and hopefully have some success up there. But yeah, I mean, from an intimidation standpoint, you know, I'm more excited to see new stadiums, new ballparks. Our league has grown and changed so much over the last year or two that now we've added so many of those clubs from the Can-Am League that you know, it's in a lot of ways our league is going to be very new, but in other ways it's still very similar to the same frontier league that we've had since 1994.
I was looking at numbers, and you will, when the 2021 season started, at some point, if everything goes according to plan, you will manage your 1,000th professional game, and you're not even 40 years old yet.
I'm almost there.
Yeah. But how do you feel about that? It's quite unique a situation to be able to have so much experience at such a young age.
I was fortunate to get an opportunity to manage at a really young age. You know, I owe that to my old general manager, Chris Franklin, who gave me the opportunity to manage for the first time. And I think he was confident in me because I had been in River City for 6 seasons before I had that chance to do it. So I knew the league, I knew the people, I knew what it took to be successful there. But to be able to say doing it before I'm 40, I mean, ultimately I'd love to be in the big leagues, but I don't play that way. I play for the opportunity right now. I treat the Frontier League as if it is my big leagues. I treat it that seriously, and you know, I try to get the most out of my players, but also do what's right for them. You know, these are young men that are sacrificing a lot to play a game that they love. Most of these guys are going to be traveling from a great distance to come play for money that's honestly not very good, right? So it's inspiring a little bit to see these stories and these guys that are going to come out and compete. And so that's my job right now, is to find that group. And you know, I've had 10 years experience doing it, and you know, there's a little bit of, you know, the Frontier League is not, hey, just go get the best 24 players in the world that you can get. We have age restrictions, we have classifications on players, we have salary caps, you know, we have trades and drafts. There's all sorts of intricacies to finding the right fit, right? So I do feel like I have a lot of experience for being relatively young. You know, hey, I still throw the ball too. So if we need a veteran arm at some point this season, I'm not opposed to potentially activating myself and throwing.
Really? When's the last time you appeared in a game?
I haven't actually thrown in a game since 2007, but I still throw all the time. I feel like I could put in the work and do it if I really needed to. So that was one of my goals going into last season was, hey, if we ever need an extra guy, now that they've expanded the rosters and being able to, we've had age restrictions our whole career. So it used to be that once a player reached 27, they couldn't play in the Frontier League anymore. And now that's no longer the case. So, you know, you go on a 9-game road trip and a player goes down and gets hurt, and you have to put a guy in the injured reserve, and you need a pitcher. You never know. I could maybe give you an inning to try to help us out. So we'll see.
Tim Baines from Post Media here. Can you hear me? Did I turn off my mute?
I got you, Tim. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks for doing this, and welcome to Ottawa, sort of virtually. What do you got left in the arm? You say you can go out there if you practice a little bit, you can. What do you got in there? What do you bring? What would you bring the fastball at?
Well, I was never a velocity guy, so I'm probably going to be in the upper 70s, low 80s with a lot of movement and deception, and I'm going to fill it up and throw strikes and hope for the best.
You're one of those crafty guys, then.
No, I don't know. Being a small school guy that I was, getting a shot in professional baseball, it's not always about velocity. I know that's that magic number that everybody looks for. I'm not against velocity. I mean, we'll have pitchers who will be 93 to 95 this year. My first sign's already a 93 to 95 guy that, you'll see those numbers this year, but having success on the mound is certainly more to it than that. It's more about commanding the zone, throwing strikes, being, able to work corners and know your hitters and trust the defense behind you.
You talked about, you think you've only spent one day in Canada. Do you know where you were? Have you actually been to Canada?
I've been to Canada for one day. I went to Windsor. This would have been like 2000, 2001, somewhere in there, right outside of Detroit. I grew up in Chicago and I lived in Chicago, so getting up to Detroit was not necessarily too long of a drive. I think I went and I saw some White Sox games there when I was younger. But that's it. And I turned right around and went home.
You didn't actually spend the night in Windsor?
One night.
Was there a reason for going over?
I think it was a college New Year's party. I think that's what it was.
I'm sure Windsor is known for that.
I'm sure it is.
How do you go about who goes about putting together a roster now? Are you involved in this process?
You broke up right there. Can you ask that again? I'm sorry.
How does the team go about putting together a roster? Are you involved in that recruiting process?
100% of it. Yeah. In the Frontier League, generally, I shouldn't say 100% of the time, but generally field managers or managers, the head coach is given the full responsibility to staff as far as your assistant staff. They don't deal with grounds or anything like that. So the groundskeeper, all that is done through the office, but building the entire roster. So we're allowed to bring in 34 players for our spring training. We do get a few more based on a few different, the Frontier League has a few different drafts that we do. We have a California Winter League where we draft a minimum of 2 players. We have a Frontier League workout in the spring, which is right before our season begins, where we bring an additional 2. So we will have 38 players come into spring training, and that will be narrowed down to 24-man roster by opening day. So it's a really quick time. And when you're thinking about the competition that you have there, all of these guys are generally professionals that have extensive experience, and trying to get the right fit can be challenging when you're looking at them for a period of 2 weeks. But that's it. I've never done it in Canada before. I know the weather's probably going to be a little bit different in early May and late April than it is in St. Louis, where it's really hot and humid all the time. So we may have to run into that. But yeah, it'll be my responsibility to sign every player. Like I said, I've already been in contact with so many of my players. So over the last in baseball, it's a small community. It's very close-knit group of people that work together. And I have players that are in affiliated baseball right now from the last 5 years. I have players that play in the Atlantic League the last couple of years, the American Association. A lot of these guys are free agents. And so my job is to go out, pitch what I'm doing in Ottawa and hope that they would want to have the opportunity to come up there with me. So I think you'll see some of my former players in the last 4 or 5 years come sign with me. And that'll be a nice nucleus, a nice core of people that have played together and know each other. And then we will fill in with other free agents that become available, whether they're undrafted college players or guys that get released out of spring training coming up in March and April. And so when you fill that together, the job is to fit the right group of people together, not just the most talented, but the people who are going to be competing at the highest level.
I got to think the talent pool is better than even a couple of years ago because minor leagues are getting smaller. It just would increase your talent pool, I got to think.
Yeah, this year, it's going to be strange because you have so many guys who didn't play last year, right? They reported to spring training, they went out there, and they didn't even get a shot. Some of the organizations have kept those players. Other organizations have released those players a long time ago. And so what I think is going to happen is you're going to have a lot of those guys who got released about a year ago now, I mean, pretty close to it, and have moved on, have said, well, I'm 26, 27. I think it's time for me to go get a real job and move on and retire. I think the COVID situation will push a lot of players to do that. On the other end of that, I think you're going to have players that are still in those organizations that will get to spring training this year, get released at some point. I mean, they don't keep everybody, right? They release a lot of guys, and those guys are going to be hungrier than ever because they've had an extra year off. They've been training for almost a year and a half at that point for a season that they're never going to get. And so I think a lot of those guys are going to be hungry and be willing to sign in the Frontier League, American Association, and Atlantic League. Especially now that we have MLB partnership, I think it's going to be a little bit easier for us to attain players. They've changed our league rules. They've increased our salary caps to accommodate these things. So the Frontier League will still be the Frontier League. We are still a younger league than other but other independent leagues that are out there. We still are going to have those young 22, 23, 24-year-olds that we're so popular for. And affiliated baseball loves that about us because those are the guys they want to sign. They generally don't want to go in and sign the 30 to 35-year-old guys who once in a while you get that, but they are looking for the 22 to 24, just missed the draft for whatever reason. Let's see what this guy can do against legitimate professional players. And then they get those opportunities. And so I have plenty of guys from the last 5 years, like I said, that are still playing, guys in AA, AAA right now that were kind of on limbo. Maybe they'll make their clubs, maybe they'll be big leaguers this year, or they might get released and come up to Ottawa. I talk to these guys all the time. So the job is to maintain those relationships. And I care about them more than just, hey, I want you to come up and play. I care about these guys as friends. And a lot of times I've known these guys for 5, 6 years. They've played for me. I've helped them get into affiliated ball. So now it's, us pushing them. Hey, let's go. Keep going. Get to the big leagues. Get to a 40-man roster. You can do this. And when you see those sorts of things, it's obviously inspirational for your team. You see guys that start in the Frontier League and then make it all the way to the big leagues, and it's pretty impressive. So,
last question for you. I apologize for taking up so much time. You're doing this. You've got a family. What keeps you going? What keeps you? You sound like a baseball lifer. You're going to be still doing this when you're 65 years old. But why do you keep doing it? I mean, again, with
well, I love the game.
A lot of reasons you could stay home.
Well, I love the game. I'm not doing it for the experience of trying to see Canada or travel. I mean, that's going to be a nice perk to it. But I just love being a part of the game. And when you get an opportunity like this to manage at a high level, I already said, I treat this as it's my big leagues, right? So I may never get there, and that's okay. I've really, if I get there, great. If I don't, that's okay too. But I'm just going to treat it like my big leagues and try to win a championship this year, but do it the right way, do it in a way that people are going to be proud of. And, to answer your question, I would say the game and my family. My family keeps me going. My wife probably loves baseball and loves what I do more than I do, which is hard to find. My kids love it. It was a dagger to them to lose the hometown team that we were with for so long. So they're looking forward to coming up this summer and seeing a little bit of the city and spend some time up there. And just kind of be a part of it all. So who knows? I'm going to take it from 1 year at a time, try to do the best I can this year, and we'll kind of reanalyze how it goes. I could go up there and have a lot of success and we could love it and might be a Canadian before I know it. But the other end of it could go the other way. So I'm just going to do the best I can.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you. That's all good for me as well. We can't hear you, Steve.
Sorry about that. Yeah, thanks for coming out. I appreciate you guys signing on. Before we wrap up here, Steve, you have any other just kind of last comments about Ottawa and just the excitement for 2021?
I mean, not really. I think that, you know, this is going to be a fun season for everybody. It's going to be baseball, you know, back, especially in Ottawa. They haven't had pro ball there now in 2 seasons. So to get professional baseball back in Ottawa, especially with a new league and kind of a fresh approach, a new team name, new franchise, it's just going to be really exciting. So I'm looking forward to it, and I hope that we do well.